All right, I guess we probably have about 15 minutes for questions, so who would like to ask first question?
Me.
Okay.
About the framing and misframing, is it necessary that always when it's framing there has to be misframing, or not necessary?
Amazing thing about human being is this, that mostly we interpret the frame in the right way. Even sometimes it's vague and unclear, but we still can pick up the right behavior fitting to the frame, right? I mean, relatively, we rarely feel ashamed, right? So, misframing, it happens, but it's a small percentage. But mostly we are right about interpreting a situation, somehow, psychologically.
A question about when you say giving off is unconscious, versus giving is. My question is about in terms of trying to use this system to correct their own behavior or to try to be more successful in a social situation. How much of this, I mean, as he's identified these points, how much are we actually aware of and how much are we not aware of?
Firstly, Goffman didn't do this to achieve some goals, like to correct your behavior. He just was curious how it works. There are other people who picked up those things that they pointed out, Mormons or sellers or any other group, that they broadened their conscious awareness of those things and they try to control it. So yes, if you, let's say, I think that after this talk, our awareness is a bit higher, right? Because we are talking about it, obviously. But some people are heavily trained to do this. So this it's not subconscious. I mean, look, I think that even now, I might know that what kind of things I don't control, right now. But there are still probably some of them that I cannot even relate to in any way. That I control them or not, I just don't know about them.
Yeah.
Do you have other questions? Sonia?
Was Goffman interested in like criticism of the social interaction? Did he point out like specifically which of, let's say, these points you selected to present, which were like critical for like social interaction? Was he also kind of, well, that's the question. I mean, was he critical of the way the social interaction was developing? As you said, he was active between
late 50s, 82 he died.
Yeah, and like the society was dramatically changing during those years. So was he critical of it, or like his point was just to kind of like analyze it as it is?
No.
Which one? No.
He wasn't critical. He just described it. You know, if you want to trace him like toward philosophy, he was a phenomenologist. He'd seen phenomena and tried to describe them without building up any theory and any judgments on it. But of course, as you're saying, the societies were changing. I mean, critics of Goffman are those that he was focused on the American Canadian society. Okay, so but some things you might feel that they are like pan-cultural, right? Universal, let's say. But he didn't write a summary of his works. But first book that is on those things is 1959, The Presentation of Self in Everyday Life. This is the core book. But then he was kind of, he never came back to kind of rework some concept, but he was just adding things and going toward a different direction. Like then he wrote the book Frame Analysis and Forms of Talk. So he was going toward a more linguistic approach, and he started analyzing what people say as well. I didn't get to it because it's too big, and I think you don't have to speak the language. Like in our situation, let's say people speak some language we don't understand, but you still can apply this framework. So yeah, he was also developing, but never looking back kind of thing, you know. So yes, I mean no. That's the first question.
Yeah.
Other questions? Over here.
I have a little bit silly question. Like me and my friend, we all have a high technological phone, like iPhone, and we both communicate on the Facebook. And like we are on the table, we are having dinner, and we talk on iPhone, by iPhone, and on Facebook. We don't talk directly. And how do you think the people that you say Goffman, how to interpret this kind of situation?
First, what just popped up in my head. Sorry, it's out of the question. On the beginning, you said, "Sorry, I have this silly question." This is what? This is idealization. You want to fit into the role of silly girl, right? So sorry, it's out of the question. I would say this is the situational withdrawal. But this is strange, because you are having this dinner with your friends. You don't have to disappear, like symbolically disappear. Because if you are surrounded with people that you don't want to be with, like in MRT, right? Basically, this is a stressful situation, that people are too close to you. So you build up this bubble by withdrawing yourself using iPhone and talking or whatever. But having dinner, it's strange. I cannot understand it. I mean, how pity that Goffman died. Really. You know, he was just 62, so I would be very curious what...
Over about the, over about the as an observation tool, did anyone, either later sociologists or anyone, pick up this system and suggest how it can be used to, other than manipulatively? Has there been anyone after
continue this, or
who made suggestions about how this construct can be applied in? Because it's obviously been used somewhat partially by, like you say, salespeople, and mostly maybe in a negative way, manipulative
kind of
way.
yeah.
Has there been any school of thought as to, other than maybe it's like a sociologist or on maybe a one-to-one patient basis, but other than that, is there
Well, within sociology, of course, there were other guys who try to relate to this within the symbolic interactions that I mentioned in the beginning. But, you know, as soon as you start talking about using this in some purpose-oriented manner, that you are out of sociology, right? This is socio-manipulation, because you don't gather knowledge to manipulate and use it in for your own benefit way. So there was a guy, Garfinkel, and he was into ethnomethodology. It was actually in the 60s, and so they could kind of had influence on each other. But I didn't find anything. Although his writing is pretty similar, he was recording the way the people talk and what they say, and how they answer the phone, and he was trying to analyze it. It was very similar to Goffman, although this guy didn't build up such a huge and great vocabulary. So we went toward a different direction due to some philosophical influences. But as you're saying, there were some attempts, but scientifically speaking, so just gathering knowledge without practical application.
It's interesting just as an observation. All those things are immersed in.
I think we had another question over here. Yeah? No? Another question over here. Anyone else have another question?
Here,
Okay.
are you familiar if his theory is applied in some other social sciences? Because it looks to me this like a perfect background for PR gurus.
Yeah, exactly.
And marketing, used for marketing purposes.
Yeah. Interestingly, of course, it seems to be a theory, but this is actually not. He was very postmodern in this, account that he was just kind of picking up this and that and without building the theory. A little bit side of the question. This is actually not the main thing that made him famous. He wrote 2 books that gave him very prominent position in this kind of sociological circles. Those books are, one is Azalium, which was written from the fieldwork, from the mental institution. And he is quite close to Foucault, critics of the institution itself, and particularly the psychiatrist. He was, I'm answering your previous question. He was critical, but not toward interaction. He was critical toward institutions, heavily. But interestingly, not coming from above, but coming from below. In Azalium, he described that actually mental institutions produce mentally disabled people. That under those, this is 1955, really heavy times for the huge mental institutions. This hospital that he analyzed had like 7,000 patients, and he was saying that even so-called normal or balanced, mentally balanced person put into this institution after a couple of weeks or months will reveal some disbalances and some mental problems because institution produces. And other book which made him famous was Stigma. Stigma. He described people with some physical disabilities and how they function within society, how the stereotypes are built up. And just one conclusion from this book is interesting, that we somehow automatically attached one disability to another one. Classic example, somebody is deaf a bit, and we accuse this person for being stupid. This is classic, that somebody doesn't hear what we are saying, and we already define it as, oh, this person is slow. This kind of thing. This is 50 years ago, so things have been changed. But or somebody, I don't know, doesn't recognize colors, and people automatically kind of attach some other little disabilities to the primary one. So that was his conclusion. Those 2 books, not really related to interaction, made him very famous.
I think we're going to have to end there unless there's any last question. Quick one. I think we'll have to end. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks.